Welcome back to the studio. I thought today we could Zen Tangle together. You might have seen by the title, I'm gonna do butterflies, which I'm really excited for because it's quite a complex shape, so it should make some fun little bits in between, but you can do whatever shape you'd like. So what you're going to need is watercolor or really any kind of material. You could do colored pencils, you could do markers, you could do regular pencil, pen, doesn't matter at all, but I will be using watercolors. I'm trying to decide if I should do this shimmery blue or this blue here. And I think I'm gonna do this blue here because it is more opaque, but we will do shimmery blues soon. Sorry to tease you in that way. Okay, you're gonna need, if you're doing watercolor, some paper towel and a little cup of water. And then you're going to need, again, if you're doing watercolor, a brush. And today, very exciting, we're going to use the round number 2 as usual, but a brand new one. So it has this really nice pointed bit, whereas the one we've been using is kind of spread out a little, which is fine, but you know, over time, things get used. You also will probably need a cup of coffee if you're me and it's 7 in the morning. Oh, it's not 7, it's 8:01. This cup actually has a butterfly on it. You can see that. And I have one with a blue butterfly on it, but it broke, unfortunately, so that's where I keep my tools, some of my tools. So I had thought about putting music behind this, but I need to find a track that's at least an hour that's licensable, and I've not successfully done that yet. So if you would prefer with music, let me know and I'll work it out. But until then, I think we'll just do this. Okay, we're actually gonna move this a bit closer to me so I can sit down. Here we have all our things. And what I'm gonna do is just a bunch of different butterfly shapes. And I'm kind of gonna make them up, kind of gonna pull from pictures of butterflies that I've seen. Let's start here. Oh, so sorry, we're doing this together, duh. Okay, for the first bit, we're just going to draw shapes all over the page, and we can do them in any formation that we want. And they're just kind of our guiding point for what the rest of the piece is going to look like. But don't get too attached to them, because for example, once I finish painting these butterflies, I'm not trying to paint butterflies anymore. I'm just using the lines that we put down. So you can make them nice. I'm for sure gonna try and make them nice, but it's not the be all end all, so don't put too much pressure on it. There we have a nice little butterfly. Do we want to do antennae? I actually do not want to do antennae because I think it's going to get a little crowded over there, and I don't feel like painting that. To BH. So we've done a shape like this. Now let's do maybe a bigger one. Whoa, I really just winged that, or wung it. Oh my God, and it's a wing. Good one, Lizzie. So I'm gonna try and mirror the same thing on the other side. Interesting, okay. Do a nice simple one here. And at this point, we want to set an intention for why we're painting today, to prevent ourselves from getting frustrated or just not making the most of this time. So my intention is to start my morning off in a calm way and be peaceful and try something new, and just, it's a lot of intentions, but just really find the zone if I'm going to super summarize that. Because I feel like when I do this in the morning, it really sets my day off for a nice feeling, and I have quite a lot to do today, including the planes have started, I see, including a couple appointments. I have therapy, and then I have acupuncture for my skin because my skin's been really weird, so I'm hoping that helps. Then I want to wrap up all of my accounting for February. Well, it's not really the end of February. Well, I can kind of, as much as I can. And then, hold on. Then I need to build out a proposal for a new piece and some other boring stuff that I won't bother you with, but nothing as fun as doing this. So I want to be as in the moment as I can and seize the opportunity to be able to do something fun like this and feel grateful that I have the time and supplies and all that to do so. So if you're doing this at night, your intention could be simply to just chill out so you can sleep well. I feel like if you don't have much calm time during the day, like with your brain, then because if you're always distracting yourself, I guess, as soon as you get in bed, it's your first calm time, and your brain then goes, oh great, now we can worry about everything. And that's not the best way to go to bed, is it? So I think if you want to sleep well, it's great to do these kind of things during the day, or whatever works for you. Maybe you just like watching these, which is great. So I'm gonna actually do, I always end up doing 6 shapes. I think what I'm gonna do is a little tiny one here. So sorry, I'm a little scattered, but make your intention and either write it down on a post-it next to you or on your phone, or just remember it. Okay, I kind of think over there is missing a little something. It's hard not to get my arm in. Do you like I matched my shirt to my painting today? I'm already noticing with this new brush that it's much crisper, but I got an awful angle when I was doing that. I really don't like painting so close to this. So it's a little loopy, but it's okay. I just did the previous painting with a Princeton round number 1, which is the size a little bit smaller than this. I'll show it to you. It took so long because there were so many lines, like compared to something like this, which is the 2 that we usually use. And what I did, it was my first time using it, so I was kind of getting the gist, is I painted with the very tip as opposed to spreading it out like I do, and that made it a little more inconsistent in thicknesses. But I was the intention was to do raindrops and then have the puddles spread out, and so I think it does suit that, but I want to do another one with, now that I know that, a different technique. I have a lot of, I have a lot of questions on how to start, because maybe your palette is new and it's intimidating, or you don't know where to start or what's the best shape, and my advice there is simply just do anything, and it can even just be a single line like this, and just get used to working out on the page. And remember, your first one does not have to be perfect. Your 100th one doesn't have to be perfect. start, and then you won't have the barrier of, how do I start? Just to interrupt myself. Now that we've done all our first shapes, we're gonna go around with our first Zen Tangle line, tracing the outside of the shapes that we have made as closely as we can, if that's what you want to do. If you don't love the lines being so close together, or you find it tricky and you think it messes you up, take a little space between, and you can always shrink the space as you get more confident or not, but it doesn't have to be as close as I have done it here. Oh gosh, I knew this was gonna happen. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, starting. Because what's holding you up right now every day is, I don't know how to start. And if you can just eradicate that, then you can actually just do it. The hardest part is always starting, I would say, in whatever it is we are doing. So if we get that done, we're good to go. Oh, do you know what? I realized I haven't gone inside the butterflies. That's okay. We're gonna do outside first this time. That was me just being kind of in the zone and not really paying attention to what we're doing. Well, I'm actually paying a lot of attention to what we're doing, but so much that my mind is elsewhere, which is the intention, if that makes any sense. So you're just gonna wanna get lost in the process. And this is wet, and so I don't know why I'm doing this one now. I need to be a bit careful. But you'll see as we go, we can turn the page once we need to work on an area where resting our wrist would cause smudging problems. Now, as you'll notice, I do rest my wrist, not my elbow, because I feel that needs to move around. But the wrist I always like to have on quite a stable area. Oh, do you know what? I haven't even been in the frame. Good one, Lizzie. Sorry about that. What is going on today? Okay, here we go. So we're just gonna do our first layer around all of these shapes. And I'm using the pointy tip of my brush to go into the little corners here. Try and keep that line the same distance away. I'm stopping here because that angle was going to be way too difficult to move around. So we're going to come up here and connect it that way. And then we can just clean this up a bit. There we go. So at this stage, yes, we are tracing the butterflies, but as soon as we get a little further out, we'll no longer be tracing butterflies. We'll just be tracing or echoing our lines. So here is a good place to show you. I'm turning the page so my arm has a good angle. And I'm going to just follow around this line. I've noticed that the paper in this book has been bleeding a little more than usual. And I'm using the same kinds of paints, so I don't know if it's handmade paper. These ones had a slightly different material in them or what, but it's kind of cool. I'd love to do this on a live so I could ask you guys what we should do inside that butterflies and you could respond right away. I'm gonna paint live when I reach 100K followers though, or subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, please do. I love butterflies because I feel like they're one of those things that people like regardless of what age you are. Maybe if you're like an 8-year-old boy, you think they're lame, but aside from that. So I'm gonna just point. There we go. This one kind of looks like a little bow. It's actually so bright right here, it's really hard to see today. The sun's been rising earlier. Oopsie, which is great. Oops, we have a kiss going on right here. How lovely. So I love this book, but I actually wouldn't get it again because of this part. L'Amélie Paris, where this book is from, has journals that open completely flat, and that's what I would recommend if you want to get the book too. But remember, you do not have to use this paper. You can use anything you like. I'm actually going to be hand making my own paper soon. I just learned how to do it, and I'm so excited to do that. I think I have in like elementary school, but I always wanted to take paper making in art school, and for some reason it never aligned with my schedule. I say schedule, I don't know why I just said it like that, but sounds fun. So hopefully I'll do that soon, and obviously I will Zen Tangle on that paper. You have to make the paper pulp out of old pieces of paper, and so I've been collecting some that I want to use, and also like petals from some flowers I had, and all kinds of things that can go in there. So hopefully we'll get some really nice shapes as we do that. Oh, got a text. Gonna deal with that later. No one is bothering me during my painting time. Well, I'm really liking using this new brush. I'm really noticing the difference. It's kind of like when you sharpen your knives in the kitchen. Here the paper is quite textured, if you can see that, so we're gonna be quite careful about how we go around it. I might need to do a little topping up like we're doing right now. I wonder if you're at the same point in the painting as me, like still doing the first outlines, or what? So sometimes when I get quite a dry and wet difference, I like to wet my brush and then blend it down, and other times I like to leave it. And I have no idea why I choose what to do when, but that's just what's happening. Okay, now we're gonna do this little yellow guy. You know these little butterflies? We always have them in the spring in New Jersey, and they're butter yellow, and they're just so cute and small. I love them. have a bit of a kiss. If you're new here, a kiss is how we remark it when the lines touch. Much nicer than, oh, they touched. It doesn't bother me when they touch, by the way, but I know it bothers a lot of people, so that's why I'm mentioning it. It's kind of just part of it. Obviously, I'm trying to, okay, we're gonna resituate here. Obviously, I'm trying to make it as kind of clean as possible, but that's why I try and have consistency between. Do you know what? We're just gonna move into the shade because I can't be dealing with that. I try and keep it as consistent as possible, but that doesn't mean I don't want them to touch. It just means I like how it looks when the lines are all similar. Oh, sorry, I'll try and keep my paint and water in this so you can see how I re-up the brush and all of that. I think let's do one more layer, and then readjust our expectation on what's going on inside the butterflies. I would love to have something to say the whole time, but I don't know if that's the best policy, so we're just gonna let the birds chirp a little bit as well. You can let your mind wander about whatever it wants to think about, and then you're not gonna go down too many spiral or rabbit holes because I'll pop in every so often and check on you. So for now, just enjoy as we do some more lines. Oh, that wasn't my best. So as we come up this wing, it's a little too tight to go through right there. I don't feel like risking it today. So we're gonna go as far as we can into the crevice with the point of our brush. And then we're going to pivot back around this nice wing, giving it its third layer. So by this point, the shapes are all going to start interacting with each other, and we're not going to have quite the consistency of the same amount of lines around each butterfly, but that's okay, because remember, we're not painting butterflies, we're painting whatever happens to be on our page. So this is going to come around and connect this way, and I would love my arm to not be in the way as I do this. Let's see. Sometimes I like to pull it down a little further by drawing it, so that when I start the next segment, it's from the right place. And where my wrist was kind of expired for that move, so I've picked it up. And we're gonna go around from back down here. Cute, that looks really nice. Okay. If you can't tell, I don't love my setup right now. But it doesn't matter, because at least I'm painting, right? So let's go do this guy. I love this variation of how the brush got thicker as I pulled it to the side. That's nice. Sometimes I try and keep all the lines consistent, and sometimes I like to play into the way the brush moves like that. And this is definitely the latter. I think it kind of depends on what it is I'm painting, and butterflies are really whimsical, and I think this style suits these best. Nice. Okay, here we have a little gap, but I think enough. I'm gonna go to here just because I didn't have the best angle and really want to be careful at this part. Cute. Not me encouraging myself as I go. You know, I was watching some of my old TikToks because I had to find a particular one from when before I started posting Zen Tangles, I would just post anything I was making and tried to see what people liked and yada, 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 yada. And I feel like my voice was so different, and I was like, that's so strange. Like, this wasn't actually that long ago. Why, how could it be so different? Don't worry, I'm gonna remember this thought. I just wanna get this in a good place. And then I realized what I was doing before, I was kind of talking to the camera. And then when I was describing the Zen Tangles, I was talking how I talk to myself, which I guess is nicer. I used to not be that way at all. And I was really critical of myself and not very soothing. And then I had a bit of a crazy year in 2024, and I just kind of realized I had to, and maybe it's growing up too, but I had to just be nicer to myself. And so that is now how I talk to myself. And so I went into my old journals and everything as well. So these two, now that they're touching, when I go around this one, it's also going to encapsulate that guy there. So let's do that. I wish we could get closer, can we? See, I went through my old journals, and I used to, before I had the realization that I should be quite nice to myself, the way I wrote in my journals was so negative and like not encouraging. Oops, sorry, that needed all my brain power, that line. And so I don't know exactly what shifted. I mean, as I said, a lot of things happened, and I also read a few books I really loved that helped shift my mindset, but I'm just definitely nicer to myself, and I'm way happier with this being the relationship I have with myself, because I hang out with me every day, you know, and we may as well get along. Not that I ever didn't get along with myself. I've always liked solo time, and I'm an introvert, and I just prefer my own company to anyone except maybe my very best friends. But that's nice. However I can make my life easier, I'm gonna do, obviously. Because I work hard and I try my best, and if I can just be as at peace as I can at home and with myself, I feel like life's just easier. And I think easier can get a bad connotation, but I really don't think making your life easy for yourself has any negativity, you know? It frees me up for the harder parts of life. So yeah, that's just a realization I had last night, thought I'd share. And then also the old TikToks I was making to try and see what people liked, as I mentioned. And then when I started doing the Zen Tangles, they were for me anyway, like it's my peace time. And so I still wanted to see what people liked, but that wasn't my main focus. It's kind of a side effect. So that's why the voice shifted. But yeah, I didn't used to always be this way. Very nice, okay. Sorry, I just looked at that coffee. Okay, we're gonna do this one. And then when we get down to this little guy, he's gonna capture all these. Actually, let's do this first and then we'll talk about that. Oh, and then on being nice to myself, I'd always kind of heard people talk about that, and I was like, well, that's stupid. And then I was like, me saying that's stupid is me not being nice to myself. Why don't we start there and reel that back in? And once I really made it an intention, I was like, I'm way more fun to be around, and life's just a bit easier if I'm nice. I think as I was growing up, I also had a lot of, not to get too personal, but like negativity in just day-to-day conversation. And so it's not like wrong that I was doing what I was doing, it's how I grew up. But at a certain point, you become an adult and you think, do I want to continue what I've been doing, or do I want to live a different way? And I thought the latter might be nice to try. You can always go back to being mean if you don't like it, you know? Okay, so now, looking pretty cool. And encapsulating this guy here. Oh, I'm really sorry if the shade bothers you. I think it's kind of cool and morning-y, but I can see if it's a little off. Can't do much about it though. So if we go around this guy, it's gonna go all the way around here, and every single one except that guy. So that's kind of cool. I guess we should start on that, or should we do the insides? I think maybe let's do the insides. I'm gonna start here. So when the paintbrush needs to go around a curve like this, it does take a lot of careful thought. The longer the bristles of the paintbrush are, so this bit, the more kind of out of range it can go, the less control you have, is I guess a good way to put that. And so this is, whoa, that was tight. This is pretty medium, I would say, but it can just, you gotta pay extra attention, or you can use it to your advantage and make that part of your piece and have big gaps between and little gaps and just play with it a bit, but that's not what I'm doing right now. If you are making a Zen Tangle right now, please tag me in it or send it to me. You can just DM it so I can see it. I would love to see what you guys are doing. And if you're just watching, that's great too. And I don't mean that in the same way I say, if you skipped to this part of the video, hello. I mean, that's actually great too. Whatever you want to do. Nice. I like how this one is colored in, this middle section, and this one is just a gap. It's kind of cool. Don't know why that happened. I guess this one was a bit smaller. I want to do a Zen Tangle that's a whole butterfly, and then the inside of the butterfly's pattern are different areas to Zen Tangle. But I kind of have a calling that should be purple, so we'll hold off for now. We'll get to purple soon. So like here, it really can spread out quite a lot, but that's okay. I'm just gonna clean it up. Clean up here. Sometimes I really emphasize drawing into the corners and stuff. Again, that's just one of those things that I sometimes pay attention to, sometimes don't. I think it's nice to have variety because otherwise it can get a bit boring. Hey Ryan, I fed you. Yeah, I did. Come here. So this is almost gonna become a triangle. So I didn't wanna flip the brush around because it would have splattered out and for sure kissed. And if I know something's gonna kiss, I'll try and avoid it. It's more like if a kiss happens, we don't freak out. So I'm gonna come around from this side instead. And do that. And when it's such a little area like this, I usually will draw in the line as opposed to making the line. Wow, I think that's so cute. Let's do our baby one over here. A little yellow one that's not yellow. This is gonna close up pretty quick. Wow, I'm so happy it's such a nice day. It was rainy for a while. I say that because I'm going to my doctor's office today, and last time I went it was pouring rain, and I walk there, and I don't really mind walking in the rain because I am from London, but it is nicer when it's sunny. So see how this kind of crossed like that? We're actually gonna play around that. So I'm gonna go like this. Oops, maybe that was a little much, oh well. And then up and around it and back down. I think when the page bleeds like this, I'm gonna kind of ignore that from a Zen Tangle perspective and just kind of trace the actual line. I think it would be really interesting to do one that plays into those little bleeds too. So I'm for sure gonna do that soon, but one thing at a time. I think I have enough going on in this piece. Okay, so that's really pretty. While those dry, we're gonna turn this around and do these 4 here. Is my hand gonna be in the way if I do that? Yeah. Okay, this might be better. We can do these ones. One of my favorite things to do is go to a butterfly pavilion. I love them. Again, we don't have much flexibility for how the bristles could spread out if we go all the way around. So we're kind of gonna draw these in. Especially here. Boop. A really good idea for if you don't know where to start and you just can't decide and you're a bit paralyzed by that is to spill something on the page. So coffee or tea or even some paint water, and it'll make a big kind of sploosh. And then you can start tracing around that. And that's a really fun thing to do. And you can even then take a different color and trace the inside of it. I had a phase of painting with tea in art school, and I would paint actual pictures, so not abstract like I did portraits and stuff. And it was really fun. And the tea worked a lot like watercolor in that the more layers you did, the more concentrated the pigment was. And that could be a fun thing to do again soon. Maybe I'll do one of those. I love tea. Interesting to see what this shape's kind of turned into. Gonna fill it in. Love it. So I so want to pull this out, but I'm not going to. It's like when you do eyeliner over the corner of your eye, if anyone has hooded eyes like me. So there was a really good place for the spread. I had enough wingspan or width to be able to do that. And I think it turned out really nice. Kind of looks like a heart. My cousin Alice has an Instagram page for all the hearts she comes across. She posts a picture of them, and it's one of my favorite pages ever. I have a similar one for all the yellow things I come across. It's called Best Yellow Ever, and it's like a visual diary of my experience in life through the yellow things I see. And the idea is not to overthink the aesthetic of it and just post something when I see it. And it's called Best Yellow Ever. And the heart one is Alice's version. It's called Alice is Looking for Hearts. Oof, I really wanted to continue that, but my wrist area really expired. hard when you're quite at the edge of the paper because your wrist is like, my wrist isn't actually on anything, my hand is, which makes it a little trickier. But that's okay, it doesn't matter. I like to look back at these and kind of use them as like a map to see, oh, I definitely had a good placement there and not so much there, and without judgment, just as an observation exercise. I'm gonna try, ooh, I think we can do it here, nice. At this point, if anything you've done in your piece is bothering you, take a step back and kind of look at your whole piece and see how pretty it is and how like grateful you are that it's helping you to have this peaceful moment. And hopefully that will make that one bit that's bothering you kind of seem less significant, because it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna leave that open because that's just a teeny little bit. We can do this side now. It's 8:47 and sometimes the leaf blowers start at 9, and so I am praying we don't have that today. This one kind of looks like a dumpling. Have you seen that t-shirt that's like, on the back it says, I hate dumplings, and then it says, just kidding, can you even imagine? Or something like that. I find that hilarious. So this kind of looks like a duck, or like a duck boat. See how the shape changes so much as the constraints are moved? It's just fun to play. What is this shape now? It's like, I feel like this whole thing is an exercise in playtime for the brain, and it's not that serious. So again, if you don't like how something's looking, it's not the point anyway, to be perfect, unless your intention at the start was to be perfect, in which case you must be a super expert, because that's never been my intention. I feel like that kind of sets you up for lack of success. You plural, like me too, if I were to do that. And if you are a perfectionist, me too, but I'm getting better, use this as like a kind of recess for the perfectionism. Like, this doesn't have to be perfect, and everything you do after can be perfect again, but this is just a little break, and hopefully that can kind of train you over time. It's difficult because when I do my other art forms, like this isn't my main body of work, as you know, this is kind of my hobby. I really like it to be perfect, 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 and that's my style. So it's not like something I need to get past, which is why when I do these, I don't put that pressure on myself, because I have it enough otherwise. Very cute. Okay, just checking in. How are you feeling? This. There we go. This kind of works. Wow, I really like how this all looks together. Let me just see where my hand placement is best. Maybe there. Don't love how that connected. So when there's a corner, I like to start there because I like to try and do the curves in one brush stroke. Uh-oh, gotta sneeze. Well, so we're gonna do that. Just think the curves look prettiest that way, and then we can connect those two like so. And then we can go in and do this little triangle bit. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And it's very sunny and hot right here. So my 11s do not like this situation, but it's okay. So I'm able to rest my hand there, which is great. Nice. And we have a bit of a triangle. Let's check in with our intentions. How are we feeling about those? I'm feeling super peaceful and just happy to be painting this morning. Oops, I keep doing that. I think it's the new brush. I'm not quite used to the super pointy end, but that's okay. I made a hot coffee today. I kind of wish I made an iced. I'll do that tomorrow. I did that yesterday. It's funny how iced coffee is phenomenal, hot coffee is phenomenal, and medium temperature coffee is awful. If you've kind of, oops, I forgot to do those bottom ones. So in the zone. If you've kind of gone off kilter with your intention, now's a good time to just reset it a little bit with no judgment. It's kind of like meditation. You might start to think about all kinds of random things and you just need to gently bring your mind back. It's totally okay, but we can put these reminders in for ourselves. Not me doing it again. I love how spikes get made from shapes that were originally round. I know there's a spike, but here it was round. It's just cool to see a transformation. Oh my god, like a caterpillar to a butterfly. Good one, Lizzie. Okay. I know that these butterflies would be really cool and multicolored. I know. But it's just blue today. I can do some of those soon. Maybe I'll put them on Finders Keepers, which is, if you don't know, the area of my website where I put up bits I have painted or made in the studio that I don't necessarily need to keep. They were kind of just like, they're not full pieces, but they were like helping me get out ideas. And I put them on this area of my website, on my shop called Finders Keepers, where they're only one of one. So if you find it and you want to keep it, it is all yours, and they're all under $100. And it's a way for me to share what I've made and not be a hoarder. So any Zen Tangles I do that I want to make a video of that aren't in order of this book, because I like having a little more variety, which is the rainbow order, I will put up there. You can also order custom Zen Tangle on my website if you want. So if you're like, oh my gosh, love the butterflies, but can you do it in orange? I could say sure. And then it's just a one of one. I find Zen Tangles are such a good background for a thank you note if you don't know what to do with yours and you don't necessarily want to keep them all. Just take out the page, cut it in half, fold it, and then it's a perfect place to just be like, thanks so much for whatever, some nice thing someone's done for you, and then they can keep a little piece of art. And it's, again, not that pressure of being a whole full piece because it's already cut up to be the card, so it's just like a nice second life for your pieces. Okay, we have these two more to fill in before we get onto that second outline. Oh, Ryan's having a bath. So this butterfly, it's not my favorite. But it teaches us something, which is don't go too close to the edge. So when I end up drawing the outline for the line, as opposed to using the tip and drawing it, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't know. Never mind. Okay, now we just have this final one with the nice tails. Okay. We're gonna ignore that little seed or whatever it is in the page, but I think at some stage it could be nice to do a piece where those are factored in. It was a satisfying one swooper. I often get asked how I learned this brush control, and I don't really have, oh, look what happened with that bleed. I don't remember it touching before, but that's okay. I don't really have a explanation. This is just always the way I've done art. Okay, I can't go all the way down there, so we're just gonna do that. My art teacher in high school, Mr. Wallace, once told me to do this. I wanted to paint a tree, and he gave me this really big piece of paper because he was like, look, it's great that you always do these little lines and all these details, but like the point of art class is to, at this stage at least, while I was like 15, is to expand the things you do and try new things, and maybe it'll be something you take on, maybe not, but like this is your chance to experiment. And I thought, yeah, cool, I'm aligned, great. So he gave me this really big piece of paper, and he was like, do the tree on here. And then I did, this is in the time I thought I was doing the assignment right, but I did basically just a really big tree with lots of tiny little branches, and the big paper meant space for more little branches. And he thought it was so funny because he was like, no, that's not what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to try, oh, yes, hey Ryan. You're supposed to kind of make bigger swooshes and use a bigger brush and whatever. And I just really like when stuff is tiny and precise, and I like focusing on, focusing on the detail of it all. So I guess I've had lots of practice, but that's also just the way I roll, I guess. Gonna do these little raindrop bits. Oh, I thought there would be a gap there, but it wasn't in the cards, I guess. That's more teardroppy. That's super teardroppy, actually. Can even go inside of it. Nice, I like how those are different. It's kind of yin-yang. I also realized I missed a little bit right here. And maybe a touch there and a tiny bit there. Okay, so let's scale back for a second and have a look at our composition as a whole, which it's really important to do. Anytime I'm making a piece in general, whether it's a Zen Tangle or just anything else, I always will put it on one side of the room and step back and just see it from another perspective, because up close, it's super different to what it is far away. You know that quote from Clueless where they say, it's like a Picasso, or was it a Picasso? I don't remember, but she says, like up close, it's a big old mess, but from far away, it's nice. You want it to be nice from both. So whether you're working from a far away or a close up focus, I usually am the close up focus, our previous conversation. I like to have a look from both perspectives and just check everything is working out. So let's have a look here. I think it looks really cool. I like how the inside of these have turned out, because they're all different, but they're all still like an echoed kind of shape, except for this one. That one looks like a raisin, but I still like her. So we're now gonna do our second layer around all these, and then once we do that one, this one will become part, and then it'll be all a full area, and all the little negative spaces will start to happen, and then we will tackle those, and that is how it's going. And I need to be somewhere in 43 minutes, so let's get cracking, I guess. I am going to start here. And you can start anywhere, actually. Totally up to you. You are the boss of your piece. It's like when people comment, you should have done XYZ. I'm like, okay, I didn't. But then if someone says, next time it could be cool to try, I'm like, oh, thanks so much for that suggestion. People are much more receptive to a kind tone, I think. So I love suggestions. Doesn't mean I can take them all on, but I think they're really cool to hear about, and I add the favorite ones to my list. And if enough people ask for something, I'll usually do it. So when there's a little bit like this, what I do is the longer area, so I can get that right, and then I will connect after, just because I think that gives me more control. That was hard because this was in the way. My head was all the way back here, but that's fine. Loosen the brush. So as I go to the corner, I will press lighter and lighter so it's just the tip that's touching, like this. Boop. I don't know if you can see that, but it's happening. And that's what gives me the little crisp point. At this point, I'm gonna go back around here because then I'll have, how do I put this into words? This section is done and I can move down to this section, I guess. I'm gonna do this part so my hand is free here. But I don't want to paint anything that I could bump into later. So I'm going to stop there, later being like in the next 5 minutes before it dries. And we're going to pick back up here. So I do dot around the page. I often get asked how I don't smudge, and I just try and be strategic about the areas the order of the areas that I paint. At this point, we're coming back up over here, and we're going to swallow this nice one in the raisin. Sorry about my hand being in the way a lot. I need to really work out how to do that, but I worry if I focus on that too much, I'm not gonna get the joy of the just painting that I am so eagerly looking for. So similar to what we were just saying, let's just look at look at all of it from a whole. W-H-O-L-E. Oh, whoops, my wrist slid there. We can clean it up with a nice thick line. There we go. And maybe we won't be able to see every part perfectly, but it is what it is. But hopefully one day I work that out in a way that works for both of us. Just don't feel like it right now. So here's a stitch where I'm just going to draw that all the way down and then start at the very corner, because that will give me the best angle for the very corner, as opposed to stopping about here and then having to readjust. Okay, now we're coming back down. And I'm gonna go down here. Can you see okay up there? I think so. Oh, hey Ryan, he's been lingering. So let's look at the bottom of the page. That's a little too close to the edge to go all the way around. So we're just going to go as far as we can like that. And in doing that, we have divided the page, although not entirely, because there's still space for this one to go around. So soon to be, I guess. So I like where my hand is, and doing this is gonna mess up my outline for this, and I know how it's gonna go, sort of. So let's do the next layer here. I don't usually do this, but I just quite like how things are going. Again, is this gonna touch the edge? Let's check. Oh, yes. Stopped in the perfect place. And this one I did first, so I want this to go through the gap. And we'll close up that little guy. Okay, now what happens here, you ask? Well, we're gonna go all the way back around. So let's finish. Actually, this is now its own little negative space corner. So we're gonna finish this line and then we can go over there. So we're just gonna follow wherever this takes us. And there wasn't really any way to predict how this would happen, because the order really depends, or the shapes that are made, and pretty much everything really depends on the order I did the outlines. So you know how we did 2 lines around each at the start? If we just done 1 or if we'd done 3, it would be totally different negative spaces, which I think is really cool that every choice you make could have a different outcome. It's like snowflakes. Like even if we all did butterflies on our page, they're all going to turn out differently, and that is pretty cool. So here we already have a bunch of cute little negative spaces emerging, and our next step is going to be to fill in the ones of those that we've made. Wow, hand position really expiring there. Let's go back in from here. I want to crisp that up. Boop. Yep, even when I'm painting on myself, by myself, I just say boop. So here, because this is the same line that's gone into this negative space and then out again, I don't mind when they cross like this. So this is happening. It's a tight little tunnel between those wings. Then here's this pillow or crisp packet shape we get a lot. Just realized I need to plug in my laptop. Okay, can this go through there? I would say so, yeah. So the best angle for this, ooh, although that's kind of wet, this is gonna be dangerous or risky, but we're gonna go like this. And then back down this row here. And this is already quite dry, which is good, so I can put my arm there. Now this is skinny, so we're gonna focus. Nice. And we have gone into this negative space cavern, which has these cool like speech bubble type shapes. So this is going to come back out the same way it came in, just like it did over here. And so just so we don't forget that, because we're going to spend a bit of time here, I'm going to bring it back out again where it would emerge, and we can pick that up later. For now, we're going to finish this. Again, this is the longer area, so we're going to do this first, and then we can connect those like that. This is going to be a really fun negative space to fill in. I think it's going to make a lot of triangles, but let's finish the line we're on right now first. Sometimes I need to pick up new paint and water, and sometimes it's just water. I mean, just paint, because I have a bit of a soup bowl going on in my tray. Just depends. Here's a nice skinny negative space. Okay, this is gonna be weird to do, so I'm gonna go around from this side. And we have two cute little triangles at the top there. Oops. This we definitely are not going to fit in, so we'll go from how far we can go and connect. Here we are at the dreaded edge. I'm gonna go down as low as I can while still having, at this angle, the brush is like this, and so I basically want to go from as low as I can with the same angle because it's too much higher and it would hit. So that was the logic there, if you're wondering. And then we can just meet it from the bottom. So look, the last few times we kissed right here as well. So it must be something about this angle I've been doing that has a little bit of a lack of control. So now we've come to the natural stopping point for our line because we have hit the bottom of the page. That was a nice big one. If you took it and stretched it out, it'd be pretty long. So now we have a bunch of cool negative spaces to work with. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Anyways, let's fill them in. I like this one. This area looks like that spider web I did that was light orange, if you remember that. You remember? Good job. Quite the bleed going on there, quite pretty. Okay, let's go closer again. Do this section. Oh no, construction. It started. Oh, I was gonna say we should pause until it's done. Let me do this section and then I'm gonna pause. City living, am I right? See you in a sec. Okay, I think it's stopped for now. Let's do these two little bits. Really don't have a good angle on this one. All the way till the page ends. Definitely want to edit this. I just don't like how my positioning was. Ryan, what are you doing? Go down in there. Kind of like to think of this as water too, just filling up all the crevices it could possibly reach. I particularly do that when think of that when I'm doing one where I try and make the consistency even in all the white areas. Which is not this one, but it's fun to think about. So with that line, we've made 3 little spaces. Interesting. When I do these, I try and have the perspective that nothing is good or bad, it just is. And I think it gives a lot more freedom to the mind. Which, if you remember, was my intention. So now we have these 3 little triangles, and I'm going to fill them in ever so slightly with the very tip of my brush. Might not be a perfect triangle, but it's the best we can do. Or not perfect triangle, but perfect reflection of the shape we're inside echoing. Boop. Okay, then while we're here, we can do this, this, and this. Need to get up in this area to get a good, oh, this is going all the way around. Okay, we'll come back to that. I don't have a great place for my wrist right here. When I say wrist, I actually think I mean side of my hand now that I'm thinking about it. Well, either or, depends what I can get. But I guess side of my hand is preferred. So we have this little gap up here, which we can get to. And this nice pillow. And then this triangle bit. And we're gonna reassess. Okay. So this actually looks pretty cool. Let me twist this around. So what we've done, it's my window pane shadow across the picture right here, is the center is completely filled out and now we need to move outwards. So when I do that, I like to pull it to the side like this and do as much as I can. So you're higher up, my head's actually gonna be lower, and so this covers a lot, so I can't go all the way, but I'm gonna do my best. So let's work on this area. Turn the focus on. Okay. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. And just take that round and round. This is gonna give me a better angle. And then I can't see what's going on behind there, so I'm gonna do my best guess and bring it up here. And then once I've done as much of this line as I can, I'm gonna go peek at what I might have missed. Oh, this one I think I can wing it. Oh, that was totally blind, but I hope it worked. Oh, bless me. Uh-oh, the construction. Please stop. Okay, we're pausing again. See you in a bit. Oh man. So I worked on that bit a little bit in the past moment, so now we have a negative space up here that we're just going to totally wrap up so we can move on down the section. Again, hard to see, so I'll do as much as I can, and then we'll turn the page and get the rest. Okay, so that's as good as we can get it right here. Now we'll go up to this volcano tip shape we also get a lot. This is a good example of one I should do the long sides of and then connect in the middle. And that tends to make a bit of a triangle shape, which we're gonna flatten the tip of so it echoes better. There we go. Someone once commented that they wouldn't mind construction city kind of noise in the background, and I can't imagine that's a popular opinion, but maybe that's just because I'm really sensitive to sounds, I don't know, but hopefully it stops soon. Let's just do this little bit. Then we'll reassess. That is the cat walking in front of the window. Hey Ryan. I'm painting here. Oh. Oh. Hello. Can you stay away for just a sec? Thank you, that's very nice. Ryan, your whisker just smudged it. Okay, purring, that's a much better background noise. Thank you, Ryan. Oh, yikes. Okay, wait. If you have a cat, you know. If you don't, I'm sorry for your loss. Ryan, why don't you come sit on my lap? Okay, come here. Blocking my light, bro. Okay, we're pausing. Nice to see how much this droplet of the wing has expanded and made this big round shape. Okay, yeah, this is getting a little too tricky to do. So I'm gonna pause this and adjust that on my own, and we'll meet back on this side when it's quieter. Okay, we are now, oh, it has just started as I pressed play. I might need to start doing these on the weekends. It's a Wednesday right now, and there's been a lot of construction recently. I really like doing this part of the page where it's the outside edge, and it kind of ends up as it grows out being just a straight line. Feels like the last mile of a race, not that I run. I actually do sprints in boot camp, but that's about it. So now we've actually, or this was even the case before, we have this section and this side section. So let's do the side section first. I'm gonna lead with the tip. That was quite a juicy one. Edit that. So as these go, this one actually took quite a while. I think it's going to be around 2 hours-ish, probably a little less, but usually they take me about an hour 20, and I think that's because I was talking and pausing to do that a bit, but also because we had quite a few intricate shapes going on. Run out of water there, which is when it gets feathery. Some people like the feathery. It's just not my personal style for these, but there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, that's about as far as we can go up. So I'll take it down and around. Lovely. Then here, the edges of the page are particularly textured on this sheet. So I need to be really careful with, I want to press down a little more than I might have so that it can seep into all the little cracks. It still looks smooth. Oh, lost control a little at the edge there. That's okay. Now we have two sections, so this little mountain range and this creature. Quite bleedy over here. Got the cat hair off my hand. My God. Embarrassing. Oh, didn't even get it all. I just picked him up to remove him from the table. Cute. Okay, now we're on to our final little corner, which I'd love to get in the sun, so let's... Here we go. This is going to be fun to do, I think. Now we have this eyelid area, which we're just gonna paint on top of and not even open. Ever. Was that a seagull? Maybe. Or a crow. Now the edge of the page actually comes down a bit because of that fold, so that's why I'm not painting right here. So now that we're wrapping up, how are you going with your intention? Do you think you achieved it? If you did, that's awesome, great job. And if you didn't, that's totally fine too. Just think about why you didn't and what you can maybe do differently next time to get there. But do not be too hard on yourself. world is hard enough. Go in there and close that gap up. When I want to smooth that right here. And because this one's longer, I'm going to do this first. And then go down. I've been having a really weird craving to watch Gossip Girl recently. I haven't watched it in ages. I don't know why it keeps coming to me. The edge of the page is always a little tricky, so we're letting ourselves draw that one a bit. Okay. Wow, that is finishing at 9:54. Great job. Well, here's the window pane. Here is the final piece. Give that helicopter its moment. But I love how this turned out. I hope you had fun painting with me as well. Let's look over some of the details, shall we? We have some cool bleeds. We have this window. We have some nice variations in color. We have some cool insides, the raisin, all kinds of fun shapes. It feels very like fluttery, which is on brand for butterflies. So that was so fun. I hope that you had a good time as well. And I will see you in the next video. Keep painting.